Well, let me just start with this commentary by stating the obvious. If you don't know much about my politics, but if you're subscribed and if you haven't subscribed, it's very easy. Hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. Hint, hint. Allow the numbers to go up. But anyway, how's that so for subtlety? Let me just state the obvious. For those that already know where I stand on the political issues, I don't like Joe Biden. Never liked Joe Biden. I never was a fan of the kind of Democrat that he is. Um, what I mean by that is that he's been on the wrong side as a Democrat, been on the wrong side of the issues that goes against the very idea of what it means to be a Democrat by popular conception. But anyway, just as I've done in the past, uh, I've always opted to vote third party in presidential elections. So Republicans and Democrats don't really get any support whatsoever from me because everybody thinks I'm crazy and I have to go choose the lesser evil when I vote. It's just no other way. Well, when both candidates pretty much um, reject some of the basic things that I support, I have no incentive to go and reward them with my vote. And I will not reward them with my vote. Yes, Joe Biden was the lesser evil to Donald Trump, but he still didn't advocate the issues that I wanted to advocate. In fact, he was pretty insulting toward the left. And the weird thing was that I actually I was going to vote for Joe Biden as a lesser evil, but I did not. Insulting the left is not the way to win people over. Republicans don't do this to their right wing base. They go and coddle the hard right base. But the Democrats run away from their left wing base as a general rule and sometimes actually insult them. And many of us still go and reward them with our votes. I'm proud that I voted for Howie Hawkins in 2020 of the Green Party, and I would do it again. All that's out of the way. Um, Let me just say that when Democratic presidents are elected and they're actually governing, um, what I expect normally from Democrats these days usually sadly becomes the case. Now, in 1992, I voted for Bill Clinton. That was the last presidential candidate from the Democratic Party I've ever voted for. And from then on, I voted third party, as stated earlier. What happened under the Bill Clinton presidency? He moved the country further right. NAFTA, which killed good paying union jobs, which unions were already on the decline. It rapidly went further into the decline with NAFTA. The crime bill in 1994, which pretty much put a clamp down on domestic civil liberties. Um, it put a lot of African Americans, young people, behind bars over the years, just to look tough on crime. Expanded the death penalty. Uh, actually, curtail a lot of constitutional rights in the process. Welfare reform, demonizing those who are who lack funds and are having a tough time getting by, to give them a timetable and take away their benefits without actually doing anything in proper compensation. And Glass-Steagall, abolishing Glass-Steagall, which basically gave corporate America, Wall Street, a lot of deregulation that transpired, giving them green light to do what they want and turn our casino capitalism into what happened in the year 2007 with the housing bubble and putting this country on the brink of a second Great Depression. That's Bill Clinton's legacy. Now, I'm the furthest thing from a Republican because George W. Bush followed him. Worst president we ever had. Got the world on the brink of World War III, using the policies that he was for, that Bush was more for than Clinton himself, with getting rid of Glass-Steagall, put the economy on hyper deregulation overdrive, and thus causing again the 2007 housing bubble that put us in the brink of the Great Depression, or the next almost at the Great Depression. Barack Obama followed with a lot of the hope and change. He moved the Overton window to the right as well. Instead of giving us Medicare for all, single payer, we ended up with Obamacare, the Romney Care, the Affordable Care Act, which was invented by the Heritage Foundation, what Jimmy Dore calls offering us a right-wing healthcare plan. Non-withdrawal from Afghanistan and Iraq, and he promised to get us out of Afghanistan and Iraq. We remain in Afghanistan and Iraq to this day. And not only that, expanding the war from the 2 countries we were occupying, expanding it to 5 additional countries, making it us at war with 7 different countries, with the drone attacks that continue. Allowing himself to be intimidated by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. Whatever Benjamin Netanyahu wanted, Obama just quiver and cater to him. And any tepid objection by Obama by the shitty treatment against the Palestinians that was being done by Prime Minister Netanyahu, it was just an excuse for the Tea Party base here in this country and the right wing in this party to sit there and call Obama a secret Muslim and call him an anti-Semite when he is not a Muslim and he's not an anti-Semite, and pretty much the furthest thing from the 2 allegations that they did on Obama. So the country moved further right under Obama. Bernie Sanders came along to try to put a stop to this nonsense against Hillary Clinton in 2016, was cheated, and cheated again in 2020. Joe Biden became president because Donald Trump let COVID put the fear of God in him, and he tried to sweep it under the rug, and the problem became worse because he was refusing to be a leader over this COVID situation. And honestly, COVID, I'm not blaming COVID on Trump, but his response was inadequate. So was the response of congressional Republicans, congressional Democrats, state governors from both parties. Everybody responded in every aspect or way you could imagine. But Trump was on the top, using the bully pulpit of the presidency, and did not go and do what was right. The dumbass ended up getting COVID because he felt like he could walk around without a mask. Are you kidding me? Anyway, so Joe Biden won. He underperformed while he was president, while he was a presidential candidate, but he won. Now, again, with Joe Biden, there were good vibes that the media gives him. Joe Biden could do no wrong. He's such a cuddly old Uncle Joe. Gosh darn it, look at Grandpa Joe. Oh, he's such a sweet old man. Y'all don't know Joe Biden's past record. Whenever the Democratic Party took a shift to the right over the past decades, becoming more corporate party and doing things that are kind of on the right wing side of the spectrum, Joe Biden was pretty much part of that. So I have no love lost for Joe Biden. Corporate lobbyists like Janet Yellen as Treasury Secretary, and then he tried to push Neera Tanden as the director of OBM. Thankfully, she decided not to try to pursue it because the Senate were going to go and reject her, and with good reason. Well, maybe not good reasons. They were just butt hurt because she's just like Donald Trump. She loves to use Twitter to go and insult people, and because the thin-skinned Republicans had their feelings hurt, they decided not to support her, which is really weird because the people who should be mad at her would be people like Bernie Sanders and the left, who we have us on the left have more to hate on Neera Tanden than the Republicans do. Neocons are also in the Joe Biden administration. No, you don't have to be Mike Pompeo, or you don't have to be John Bolton to be a neocon. You could be a Democrat and a neocon too. Look at Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense, getting money from Raytheon, in bed with the military industrial complex. Lloyd Austin. You have Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State. Sure, he's not an evangelical Christian, but he's a bootlicker for the Likud party in Israel. Terrible stuff. So I'm not a hack when it comes to criticism. And for those who lean on the conservative side, who thinks I just shit on Republicans just to shit on Republicans, I crap on the Democrats too when they do wrong. To the Republicans, I don't always crap on every Republican. When it comes to foreign policy matters, I tend to agree with Republicans like Rand Paul, who kind of err on the side of non-interventionism. So I mean, or people like Mike Lee of Utah, who's not too happy that each president wants to sell arms to Saudi Arabia to go and give those arms to Al Qaeda down in Yemen to go and exterminate people in Yemen. Remember, there's an actual genocide going on in Yemen, and the United States is like, they're not directly involved, but their buddy Saudi Arabia, whatever they want, they get. And Tulsi Gabbard said that Donald Trump was Saudi Arabia's bitch. Well, their bitch is gone, and they got a new bitch named Joe Biden. So I am not a partisan hack. I criticize each and every president, and I tend to dislike any sitting president at the moment, whoever is sitting at the White House. I am almost 52 years old, and I can tell you, just about any sitting president at any moment, I could tell you why they're a piece of crap. Juxtaposition myself to March 1st, 2021. What happens? Joe Biden made a speech, and honestly, is quite a surprising speech. It's a kind of speech that I'm still not a Joe Biden supporter, but let's just say that I never heard Joe Biden say anything that was more truthful and more common sense driven than what he just said, what was going on in Alabama. You're not aware? In Alabama, there is a union drive for workers from Amazon trying to unionize, and they need to be unionized. And I hope they do get unionized. But, well, you just have to listen to yourself. It's a very short blurb, so I'll let you listen to him. I would actually play the video itself, but I not quite knowing how to do that yet. But when I do, y'all just watch out. So here we go. I'll make some funny faces while he talks, just for your entertainment.
I've long said America wasn't built by Wall Street. It was built by the middle class, and unions built the middle class. Unions put power in the hands of workers. They level the playing field. They give you a stronger voice for your health, your safety, higher wages, protections from racial discrimination and sexual harassment. Unions lift up workers, both union and non-union, and especially black and brown workers. I made it clear when I was running that my administration's policy would be to support unions organizing and the right to collectively bargain. I'm keeping that promise. You should all remember the National Labor Relations Act didn't just say that unions are allowed to exist. It said that we should encourage unions. So let me be really clear. It's not up to me to decide whether anyone should join a union. But let me be even more clear. It's not up to an employer to decide that either. The choice to join a union is up to the workers. Full stop. Full stop. Today and over the next few days and weeks, workers in Alabama and all across America are voting on whether to organize a union in their workplace. This is vitally important, a vitally important choice as America grapples with the deadly pandemic, the economic crisis, and the reckoning on race. What it reveals the deep disparities that still exist in our country. And there should be no intimidation, no coercion, no threats, no anti-union propaganda. No supervisor should confront employees about their union preferences. You know, every worker should have a free and fair choice to join a union. The law guarantees that choice. And it's your right, not that of an employer. It's your right. No employer can take that right away. So make your voice heard. God bless you all, and may God protect the workers and their families who are trying to figure out how to make it fairly. Thank you.
Okay, I have to admit, objectively, that those words were encouraging. It was actually the most pro-union speech made by any sitting president in decades. Possibly Jimmy Carter, but definitely for sure um, Lyndon Johnson. It is encouraging to hear these words because it's not that Joe Biden suddenly turned into Bernie Sanders. That's not about to happen. But the thing about it is that the Overton window, the income inequality, is getting out of control. COVID actually started to speed it up, although we were having those problems to begin with earlier. And when you have 6% of the private sector belonging to a labor union, it doesn't add up, or it shall unfortunately adds up, shall I say, to why we have income inequality. There was a time you could graduate high school or college, work in a job for 30 years. If you were a man in a traditional marriage with kids, you could be the sole bread earner, could buy a home, nice, comfortable home. You could have money to pay your bills, to pay your bills and to put away and to save and have a little bit to play around with. You were able to have two cars on a regular basis, keep the cars new every few years, have several weeks off a year, 4, 5, 6 weeks off a year. You could go on vacations in various places, within reason. Um, you were able to send your kids to college, and it was just a good life. And you had good health insurance, which covered you and your family. You were able to go and have a good retirement when you did retire, and as long as you were, good at your job, or even exceedingly average, bordering on mediocre, your job was set and safe and pretty safe. And in a lot of cases, you had a union at your job. And even in the jobs that were not union, because the unions were fairly strong, it kept those companies from having to worry about the unions and be like, oh shit, I don't want the union to come around. So let me pay these workers a little bit more, give them some benefits, and maybe they don't want to unionize. So it was a good working thing that was going on at the time. I mean, we weren't quite Norway and Sweden, but it was we were working toward that. And then in the 1970s, starting with the oil embargo, that kind of made the economy sluggish, and then followed by the Reagan Revolution, which Reagan pretty much uh, declared war on the New Deal consensus. Because you got to remember, the New Deal consensus was embraced by Democratic and Republican presidents alike. And Reagan put an end to that. So Dwight Eisenhower, when the people are sitting there calling Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Joe Biden a socialist, objectively speaking, if you want to define what a socialist is by policy and how they govern, Dwight Eisenhower was a socialist compared to Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, or Joe Biden. I will argue that Richard Nixon was a socialist compared to Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, or Joe Biden. And to all the Republican Party hacks out there and the right wing that wants to demonize socialism, let me just spill this out for you. Everything that you do not like is not necessarily socialism. So stop it with this. I don't like it. If I don't like it and it makes me feel icky, it's got to be socialism. Shut the hell up with that logic. I mean, I am not a capital. I mean, well, I've been accused of being a capitalist by the far left. But let me put it this way: I'm not a conservative in any meaningful sense of the term. I mean, I have a 1950s sensibility about me as far as my day-to-day life, but I'm not a conservative. But I'm not going to go around and thinking if I don't like it and it makes me feel icky, it's got to be conservatism. You see how silly it sounds to the conservatives with that logic? Well, us socialists feel the same way when anti-socialist critics on the right. And also, to be fair, people like the corporate Democrats that like to crap on the socialists too. That's how silly that sounds. But getting back to what I was saying, I do not think that Joe Biden is going to be the Bernie Sanders that we all on the left kind of hope for. Well, I never thought we were going to get that Bernie Sanders, you know, and just waiting for that socialism that's going to come about, just like the Republicans promised Joe Biden would be. It ain't going to happen. But the Overton window has possibly has shifted that maybe Joe Biden might listen a little bit to the unions. I mean, even the last president, Donald Trump, didn't sound like a traditional Republican when he was campaigning in 2016. He used the economic populism. While Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz in the Republican primary in 2016 were talking about how they were going to go and cut Social Security, Donald Trump promised not to cut Social Security while he was campaigning. Once he became president, that became a different story. But the point I'm trying to make is, you know, supply side economics, voodoo economics, Reagan economics, whatever you want to call it, that ship has sailed. It has sailed that it's possible that the Republicans are going to try to do their little populism thing. Of course, I'm going to warn people, don't fall for it because it's the Republican Party. But be skeptical about it from the Democrats. But while I do urge to be skeptical of the Democrats, I also think that if we're stuck in a two-party system, to hold the Democratic Party's politicians' feet to the fire, and you make damn sure they're going to listen to us. Because if you don't, in the year 2022, in spite of the Republican Party being unhinged and extremists from within and passionately anti-union, populism or no populism, they could theoretically make a comeback. And we're going to be in the same rut as we were in under Bill Clinton and under Barack Obama. A Democratic president with a Republican Congress and the Republicans pushing that Democratic president further and further to the right. I don't like that. I didn't like it under Bill Clinton. I didn't like it under Barack Obama, and I'm not going to like that shit under Joe Biden. And unfortunately, even if the Republican Party with their civil war ends up becoming some regional Southern party or what have you, got to be careful, Democrats, because if you fail, if the leftists fail the Democrat push the Democratic Party to the left, they figure that they can always win on being Republican light, basically winning over the suburban moderate Republicans into their coalition, and they will never have to listen to the labor unions, and they will never have to listen to the left ever again. That's what I'm worried about. But anyway, as far as union organizing for Amazon workers, my gosh, continue to fight the good fight. I used to belong to a union job, and let me tell you, there's a difference between night and day when it comes to health benefits and retirement. So I'm going to tell it like it is. You got to fight the good fight and all of that. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were not too much in agreement, comment anyway. Feel free to share the content on this channel. It's a First Amendment absolutist. It's my duty to inform you that if you're passionate, create a platform and utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. And as I said earlier, hit that notification bell, that subscribe button. And until next time, I am American Social Democracy. Peace and class struggle yesterday, today, tomorrow, until we have full economic and social justice for all.